We do not make ourselves from nothing. Everything that we need, we have to get from food. Now, so this video, I'm going to go over how we actually digest food and absorb our nutrients. So in the top left, we have food, and we actually start digesting our food in our mouth with an enzyme called alpha amylase. Now, alpha amylase is released from the salivary glands in our mouth. So that breaks down our starts to break down our complex carbohydrates for us, and then the food moves in to the stomach. Now, it's pepsin that actually starts to break down our proteins for us. And as the stomach starts to break down our proteins and the mouth has already started breaking down our complex carbohydrates, we end up with something called an acid chyme. Now, before I go forward, it's gastrin that is released from our stomach. Now, that is a peptide hormone that's released from our stomach that tells the stomach to start releasing gastric juices. Now, one of the components of gastric juice is pepsin. Now, again, just by looking at food or even smelling food, our stomach can actually start releasing this gastrin. So we can actually start producing this gastric juice before we even start eating. Anyways, so the gastrin causes us to produce this gastric juice, and one of the components is pepsin, and pepsin starts to break down our proteins for us. So we have the alpha amylase that's already breaking down the complex carbohydrates, we have the pepsin that's starting to break down our proteins, and as a consequence, we have something called an acid chyme. So it's this partially broken down, partially digested slurry. Now, when this acid chyme bounces back into the bottom of the esophagus, that's the experience of heartburn. So anyways, this acid chyme gets dumped down into the small intestine. The beginning of the small intestine is actually called the duodenum. Now, the duodenum has two peptide hormones, that it secretes when this acid chyme gets dumped into it. One of them is cholecystokinin, which tells the pancreas to release this bicarbonate, and it's this bicarbonate that helps to neutralize the acid from the acid chyme, and also secretin. Now, secretin is also used a signal to the pancreas to also release this bicarbonate. But cholecystokinin, again, is a peptide hormone released from the duodenum, and that also tells the liver to release bile. It also tells the pancreas to release these other digestive enzymes into the duodenum when this acid chyme, this partially broken down food, enters in the small intestine. Now, these digestive enzymes are chymotrypsin and trypsin, which are proteases, so they help to break down proteins even further. We have another alpha amylase, which continues to break down our carbohydrates, and we have a lipase, which is an enzyme that works with bile to break down our fats for us. And finally, we have something called nucleases. And nucleases break down foreign genetic material, like foreign DNA and foreign RNA. So what can you do to help with your digestion? Well, if you notice here, I have the pH of every one of these compartments on the board. And in my opinion, if you want to make sure that you're doing what you can to help digest food, I recommend that you get enough of these major minerals here I have on the bottom left of the board, which includes sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, chloride, and this phosphate ion molecule. And I have 700 milligrams because that's the phosphorus RDA. So everything here in red are the RDAs for those major minerals. And they're going to help make sure that the body is operating at the right pH. Now, why do I say that? Because proteins and enzymes, for them to function correctly, they have to be in the right pH, because if they're not in the right pH, then they won't fold and function correctly. So my recommendation is to make sure you're getting enough of these major minerals. And over here, I also included protein. Everything here in green is a protein of some sort, and as well as bicarbonate. Now, if you want to see the vitamins and minerals that I found that we need to make our own bicarbonate, I recommend watching my Gut Part 2 video. Now, finally, I just want to share what I found that the duodenum absorbs for us in terms of nutrients. So the duodenum absorbs chlorine, sulfuric acid, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, copper, manganese, monosaccharides, which include glucose, galactose, and fructose, vitamin B1, vitamin B2, vitamin B6, folate, vitamin C, and it even includes some fats, and fat-soluble vitamins, which include vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin H.